accidentally threw my drink over my notepad, so I'm having to use it temporarily wrong. Oh, oops.
Perfect. What a great what a great intro. We're throwing drinks around occasionally, apparently, so that's good. Welcome to Damage Does D&D, episode 13. Unlucky for some, of The Investigators. Our recurring campaign set with the wonderful DM Martin. I will hand you over.
Hello there. So, last session, the gang continued discussions with Seti, the great golden dragon, and eventually were transported back to Cantisha, where they spoke with the representative of the Mage Council there, were given the keys to a new house, which is being designed by me, and the gang headed down there after telling Lucrezia about their adventures in Brecon-Aurea. Headed to the house. Three people went off to the religious section of the city, not far from their house, to just discuss with three different gods, where different communications were had. Later in the evening, Lucrezia turned back at the house and deposited a map that was requested, which contains all of the locations of these temporal rifts that the world has been experiencing, as well as all of the sort of secondary echo rifts that come along with them. And I think we left it with Mazdak heading off to the library.
Yep.
And everyone else is back at home.
Yeah, I was going to go off to look up how magic works, where the power comes from. Is it something akin to ley lines or that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Did you guys, now that I've actually given you an actual map of the rift, did you guys want to have a discussion before you went off Mazdak?
Yes.
Just to
Yes,
retcon slightly.
Yeah.
We'll roll back so that you're still at the house.
Yeah, okay. So what I'll do then, I've got the map up in a different window, so I'll share that so we can,
Cool.
everybody can see that. There we go.
It is a very pretty map.
It is a lovely map. So, what do we think? This is the map that Lucrezia left us. We'll sort of spread it across the table in the study. It's certainly, there's been quite a lot. 11? Wow.
It's 11
Maybe a lot
of
of
the
big
larger rifts.
In Cantisha.
Yes, 3 in Cantisha alone. But the first one appears to be the largest.
That would appear to confirm our belief that this, the size of the rift is commensurate to the creatures that emerge.
Possibly.
Question for DM.
Yes.
Is the 11 in Cantisha, is that the one that we dealt with when we first picked up?
Correct. Yes. Yes. Also labelled 11. North of that is the smaller Echo Rift, which was the static one, which has now disappeared, as well as the one on the island to the east, where the dinosaurs were. So those are all related to the same rift, as you've experienced.
It seems like most places have been hit, except
Well,
Oninia and Siguria.
I don't think the size of the circle indicates the size of the monsters that came through, because the one we went to on that island, they had massive, hundreds of massive creatures and entire tribes of people.
this is very true.
So it's a small circle.
Yes, it's more. I think more to do with the power of the rift itself, the amount of magic, perhaps.
Hmm.
I don't see any. Well, I think I need to go to the library to work out if there are any from Kral's suggestion about power, magical origins ties up with this at all. Looking at it, it doesn't seem anything too obvious straight away. But I should go. I should go to the library and have a look. Is there anything else you wish me to look at as I'm there?
I mean, not as my interests and researches have gone in different directions, but I mean, I do know how to look at a book and interpret. So if you'd like some assistance, Mazdak, I'd be happy to accompany you.
Well, I'm not at all sure you'll be allowed in the library because it is a card-only deal. I might be able to ask them to let you in. Unless you have a card for the library?
I don't believe I would probably have one for the
No.
library.
So I suspect they won't let you in.
Is Lucrezia still here or is she gone?
She can still be here if you wanted to talk.
Well,
Ha-
we can.
Perhaps
I
Lucrezia can get you access.
Oh well, I think Mazdak, you've got your card.
I do.
If you just say that Carl is with you, that should
Oh,
be fine.
okay. That yes, fine. Then we can do that if that's how it works. Fine. Okay, let's go. Let's to the library. One of my favourite sayings. And I will sort of gather my books and take the map and go to the library.
Okay.
Speaking of map,
Lucretia's heading back that way anyway, so she'll stick with you two. Just Mazdak and Kral going, is it?
Yeah.
So the three of you can head off there. Dalen and Sasha, what are you going to get up to?
I was going to check out our supplies, food-wise, and if there wasn't much there, go out to the market and get some stuff and maybe start preparing a meal.
Fair enough. There's a...
Go on,
Sorry,
sorry.
Dalen, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to sit in a very comfortable chair and try and work out how do you find a very small needle in a very large haystack. Bearing in mind, I'm not very intelligent, so it's going to take a long time.
Okay. Sasha, you have a rummage through the cupboards. There's a few rudimentary things that, you know, like this is an Airbnb and some people just leave packets of unopened pasta and things. You know the deal. That sort of stuff.
A couple of pot noodles that are getting vicariously close to their end of
that sort of thing, yeah.
day, yeah.
So there's certainly enough to feed you for the evening, or feed the lot.
I will go out to the market and pick up some fresher supplies.
Okay,
It's just enough stuff to last us for a couple of days because I'm not sure how long we're going to be here for.
fair enough. Well, knock off a couple of cold then, just to get enough. Dalen, you're going to sit and have a think.
Mm-hmm.
Make an intelligence check. Well, just to see if you can
9 plus 0 is 9.
9 plus. Well, the only thing that's springing to mind is about hiding where bugbears hide, and Lucrezia seemed to poo-poo that idea.
Yeah.
Nothing more is coming to.
Straw in a very large, or a piece of hay in a very large haystack.
Yes,
Not a needle, because a needle is something different.
exactly. But yeah, no further clues with the 9. So the Two of you get towards the library. Mazdak and Kral. Lucrezia peels off, says her good evenings, goes her own way. You get to the library, have access. What are you going to be looking for?
Okay, I wanted to look up how we get magical energy to do spells as wizards. Is it are there centres of power throughout the world? Is it just something that we pull from the ether, or is it on the like ley lines that run through the world, like magnetic lines or something like that, or something along those lines? So basic researching of magical geology, as it were.
Yes. Okay. And Kral, were you looking up something separate or assisting?
I will assist.
Okay. Well, make intelligence checks, or one each, or one with advantage. Actually, go one each.
Okay.
Both,
Oh, that's pretty good. Intelligence.
20.
21.
Okay. So some of this you would already know, Mazdak. It's kind of basic stuff. But between the two of you, you pull the right sort of books and have a scan through, spend a bit of time doing that. And the way it seems to work is via the gods. The gods are kind of the source of magic.
Disappointing. But yeah, okay. So it's via the gods.
Kind of why Tursith, who is the god of knowledge, is in some way revered within Canticia. Because despite, and the books clearly state that all gods kind of provide this service to the material plane, the Canticians have kind of gone, oh no, it's all Tursith. They do that.
Okay.
The way it's distributed through the world is purely through the collection of magical beings. So wherever magical beings reside en masse, is where more magical energy can be produced.
Right. Okay.
It is kind of self-fulfilling in that way. So the center of the world's magic is this country, is this city in particular, and that is where most magical energy can be found if tapped into. Other places on the planet have got populations with magical beings, and they in turn produce some, not as much, of course, magical energy.
Are these centres that are obviously known, of which centres they are, which towns or cities or whatever, do they tie up with the larger rifts? The purple, the original rifts.
So you've got 3 that have been found in Canticia.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 that are found in Greconoria, dragons and magical creatures.
Yep.
You've got 2 that are found in Voyovikia, the elven country. They're pretty magical. Yes, it seems to tie up that more rifts in more magical places.
Okay.
And would we be able to extrapolate from that therefore that one of the largest rifts, if not the largest, was formed during the course of the conflict between Valaya and Sandinia, and because of the expenditure of magical energy and the nature of the opposing sides being
so
who they are.
What, as an addendum to that question, is there a known magical centre there where the original rift is?
Interestingly, no. Those 2 countries are almost entirely human populations with very little magical stuff there. That seems to be very much an outlier looking at the map.
So I would surmise that this we know this is the first one that we recorded,
Hmm.
but I would suggest that this is the first one. Because if you look at all of the others, they're all in magical centres, but that Velaya Sandemia are not magical centres. So, something
Perhaps,
happened there.
or perhaps there is an atom or a font of power that has yet not been revealed, which bears further investigation.
Possibly. I think
Because if we're saying these things are centered on the magical concentrations, there needs to have been something magical there for a
but
concentration. to
I
begin
suspect
with.
that whatever it was that Bernia saw was got to be something to do with that. I think we need to go there.
I agree.
I don't think Bernia will be very happy about that.
I agree again, but I mean,
But I think we need to go
we can
there, and I
support
think
her.
we need to exactly. We need to convince
Help.
her that going there will help her.
And perhaps she can confront her demons, and we can.
Well,
help
possibly.
her.
There might actually be literal demons.
I mean, yeah, but if we can confront this thing and best it, then perhaps she'll get some. of
I'm not
that,
sure. Besting it might be tricky. There were a large number of highly trained warriors that could not best this thing. But
yeah, but there was no magic.
there should be some kind of echo, some kind of residual magic that we can look at and identify and trace.
I mean, I've got some tools which might be of use, but I mean, it would be better to augment our investigative supplies with some of the arcane tools of the wizarding kind, and
Well, yes, quite.
so
Indeed. Right, let's go back and tell the others.
right you are.
And I will... Can't remember if I've asked a question today in my book.
Ooh, I don't think
Don't
so.
think I have.
Didn't you ask if Lucrezia was being on the up and up about everything? But when we first
I
arrived.
think that was yesterday.
I think you've got a question today.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly, before we leave the library, write a question in my book. And the question is, should we go to the battle site of should we go to the source of that first rift? Oh, magic 8-ball.
It's unclear.
Ask again later.
Um, um, do-do-do. Okay.
Interesting. So I close my book, put it back, and say, so, I think we need to go and tell the others what we found, and then get some sleep, because we have the council meeting tomorrow, I believe. Was it tomorrow? I
Well,
think.
if it's
Was it?
all
Yeah,
the same, yeah, it's tomorrow. But if it's all the same, I need to stop by and see if I can pick up some supplies in town.
Of course. What kind of supplies do you wish?
Well, I was just going to see if there was any items to augment my kit, and just see if there was any.
Well, this is the most magical place in the world. There are many shops that have arcane bits and pieces.
What would you
Depends on-
recommend?
Well, there's a street where there is a wonderful bookshop actually, where they sell all kinds of magical wares. So yeah, I'll take Kral down to
Okay.
some magical shops, which is what was his name?
Did I do with... Ah.
Oh, what was his name?
Which shop? The bookshop are you thinking of?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the bookshop.
Bolark's books.
Bolark's books. That's it. So there are. We get to the street. I'm assuming that's a street. There's lots of magical vendors,
Yeah.
and I'll.
That's
So-
it. You got the magical smithy. There's a one shop, a potions place, kind of a, I suppose like an auction shop where they get things in and out all the time, and the bookshop.
So this is probably the best street in the city, apart from the library, obviously, which is the best place in the city. But this is pretty good. It's an amazing bookshop and some other shops. So whatever other shops that you need, I'm going to go to the bookshop because it's
Yeah.
a bookshop.
I'll find the one that sort of looks like it's selling the magical items and things like that.
Well, what sort of items were you looking for?
I was just going to have a look and just see generally what was available and see if anything would be of use. I mean, or if he's looking for some components that he could add to his, because he would have heard about some magical lenses he could add to his goggles for dark vision, etc. Because he's can't see the dark.
Right. Now, bear in mind, I was not expecting a shopping episode here, so I haven't prepared shopping
I
pieces.
mean, it is evening. They may well be shut.
Let's say the smithy's open, so if you needed to get some materials, ores or
Yeah, just want to
any kind.
inquire about the cost of the metal possibly to what that we wanted to use, or whether they got any steel or mithril which would be appropriate for being enchanted.
Okay, so if you go in, there's a dwarf that runs up to you. Oh, hello. Good evening. What can I help you with?
Good evening to you. I'm a craftsman of sorts, and I've got a project for a friend that we're going to be needing some additional materials for. I was wondering how much for a pretty relatively small amount, but either steel or some sort of mithril that would be able to be imbued with arcane runes and give it a little bit of a kick.
Right, okay. Well, steel we can certainly do. We've got lots of that around. I'm not sure about mithril, whether we've got any in the shop. It's something we get in when we need it, really. We get it sent straight over from Pytosco where they mine it. So if you needed some of that, just give us a couple of days and we can have some sent over. Steel, just tell me how much you need.
Right. And then he'll pull out the plan with for the basics sort of for the arm and essentially what he would need, the amount that he would need for it would be.
Okay.
If I was to be making this, I mean, how much would you think that it would be for the materials?
I think that's quite a bit that you need. There'd be a lot of Well, I don't know. It'd probably be a couple of 100 golds worth of steel.
Right.
Maybe
That's-
220.
That's good to know. Well, when my friend decides on whether or not she wants the design or what she wants to do with it, I'll come back and I'll get you to get my materials.
I'll leave it with you then.
Thank you kindly.
All right, anytime.
And he'll sort of sleeve and wait for my stack outside the bookshop.
Is the bookshop actually open?
I'm
I'm not going to actually buy anything. I'm just popping by to say hello and look at the books.
As you get to the door, it rattles like it's locked. There is a light on, and you can see the giant sat at the back.
I'll
The
just
door's locked.
wave through the window.
It was very slow, sort of like, "Do I know you?" kind of look.
And I'll just go. And then scamper off.
Cool.
And no doubt.
Okay. So the two of you are heading back.
Yep, back home.
So
I've
Back home?
created a masterpiece in a one of those throw everything in kind of stews that they would do out and about. So just sort of like meat, veg, gravy kind of deal, and some fresh bread to go with it.
Okay. So, as we're sitting down to eat this, I'll explain what we found at the library and the sort of probability that we would need to go to that original rift site to investigate.
I'm not sure you're going to convince Bernier.
No, indeed, but I think. What did you say, Kral? You said that to help Bernier, it would be a good thing to go back
Perhaps we
to
can
that site.
We can help her confront some of her inner demons and help her to get past whatever happened to her.
And I made the quip that there were probably maybe actual demons as well to fight, which should be interesting.
And perhaps we can give her some closure.
Well,
I believe that's the word.
I don't disagree with any of your points, but
yes, I know convincing Bernier was going to be tricky. But we have the meeting with the council tomorrow. They may have more information on what they did to investigate these rifts before we came along. So any sort of information we have with what was done at the site of the first rift, how they investigated what they did, and we could then we may not have to go there. I suspect we will have to go there, but we may not, depending on what was done and what information that they have. But I still think I ought to go and see the site to just see if there's any sort of residual magic or anything out of the ordinary there that we could use to trace where this rift really started.
well, I've sent out a few feelers to people I've met along the way, so maybe we'll hear of some sites that weren't on this map.
Well, yes, quite. These are the only the ones that we know about. But it is odd that all of these larger rifts, the main rifts, are in highly dense magical populations, whereas that first one, there's no magical population there at all.
Well, just because the people there did not have magic at the time doesn't necessarily mean it was not in their lineage at some point.
Well, no, but as you can see, the population, so for Canticia, for example, there are 3 main rifts here, highly magical beings, and I'll start explaining how magic works through
Gods.
Tursif.
In great detail.
Tursif. So Tursif is the source of all magic, and he apparently uses other gods to dispense it throughout the world. But it's sort of a self-propagating thing. The more people with magic that gather, the more magical that place becomes, because there are more magical beings. So, in the history of Velaya and Sandemia, there's very few magical beings there, ever. So, this is an anomaly, whereas all of the other large rifts have a high concentration of magical beings. So that first rift is the outlier, is the difference. That's the one we need to be investigating. All of the other ones can be explained, or not explained, but the correlation is large magical population, rift. Whereas that one, no large magical population, and this was a large rift, the largest that we've seen.
Well, I can see what you're saying to a certain point, but Oninia hasn't had any rifts at all, and
Yes, well, there's
that
no
is
magical
primarily
peoples.
made up of Asimar.
Yes,
who are-
which are not inherently magical themselves. There is no gathering of large magical being population there.
I would disagree with that.
DM?
I would consider Asimar to be magical creatures.
Okay.
They are
So-
angelic.
Maybe that there has been a rift there, but it's just not been recorded.
That's what I'm intending to find out.
Well, why raise it then? That seems a bit counterintuitive. Anyway,
I'm just saying that none have been recorded there as
well, yes,
such.
quite. What I'm saying is the difference between the larger rifts is the magical population. There is no large magical population for the very first rift that we've recorded. This is a difference and needs to be investigated.
Does bear investigation, because it might point us, give us other leads that we need.
And there may
I mean,
be...
correct me, Dalen, if I'm wrong, but the scale of deaths that would have occurred during a war may have been enough to do something to attract a god, perhaps.
That would depend on whether or not those people were worshipping a god. Death in itself would not.
Don't think Dalen was listening.
No.
Dalen?
I'm busy thinking. I'm focused in a. You probably have to give me a kick to get me working. My brain's gone into meltdown trying to work out what the difference between a piece of hay and a needle.
Dalen, I'll throw a piece of bread at his head.
I mean,
What?
that
Oh,
amount
you're back.
would probably draw his god's attention, but I doubt it would cause any magical issues.
I mean, it may well
Because-
be that Oninia is yet to have a rift as a magical centre. Or they've already had one. We don't know where we are in the timeline of rifts. We know that the one on the Velaya-Sandemia border was the first that we've recorded. Doesn't necessarily mean it was the first. However,
Do
if
we
it
know
was
what-
the first, then there may well be more rifts to come.
Do we know what gods these Velaya and Sandemia worship?
Absolutely no idea.
I mean,
Not important.
I mean,
Not necessarily
could be
so.
important. I mean,
Yes, but traditionally, not a large magical being population centres. Very low grade of magic there. This is why we have to go there, I think.
I would argue a sacrifice in the name of your god would be quite valuable indeed. But
Well, possibly, but as traditionally, and I keep coming back to this point because you obviously don't quite understand, Velaya and Sandemia do not have large magical being population. Okay? Therefore, that rift bears investigation. Because why did it happen there with no magical population, and other places that the rifts have occurred do have large magical populations?
If you continue to talk to me in this way, then my sword is going to go through your chest.
Well, you seem to be asking the same question over and over again. I'm just trying to explain it slowly for you, so that it goes in, because
I may not
explained it 4
understand magic
times.
the same way that you do,
I'm
but
not
I'm
saying-
not stupid.
I didn't say you were stupid. I said you were asking the same question over and over. And I'm saying, you keep saying about the gods and stuff. It doesn't matter.
You
What
don't know that.
matters
You
is-
assume that.
No, what matters is traditionally there is no large magical beings population in Valaya and Sandemia.
The populations
Therefore-
are not inherently magical in the same way that the elven population is inherently magical.
Exactly.
They are inherently magical beings. The two populations of Valar and Sandemia are not inherently magical.
Mainly human, mainly not magical.
Bernia herself has said the only source of magic is a few clerics on either side. That would say that they are not mainly magical beings. There would not be concentrations of magic within those countries.
Quite.
So something has got to have happened, either an Arden or an untapped source of power on that border to form that rift. This is why we need to investigate.
Quite.
Now, we can either keep arguing about this, or we can actually do something and prepare for our meeting tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Kroll. So, as you can see, the Cantisha has had 3 rifts, because Cantisha is basically the centre of magical power in the world. Okay, so we've had 3 rifts. Grekanoria, dragons, very magical creatures, 2 rifts. You see? So that logic would suggest that that place in Valaya, Sandemia, has a large magical population. But it doesn't. That's why I'm saying we should go there and investigate.
I'm
To
not
our
disagreeing on that point.
To our knowledge, it doesn't have one,
Well,
but
quite.
further investigation may reveal that.
Well, yes, there may be a large being of unimaginable magical power. We don't know. There may be 4,000 very tiny beings of incredible magical power. We don't know. Traditionally, there's only been humans down there, or mainly, and they are mainly not magical. This is an anomaly, so therefore we need to understand it better.
When are we leaving?
Well,
mean,
we have our council meeting tomorrow, so, I mean, after that, I guess, the council may have more information that we can ask about this particular place.
So, are you going to put your massive brains to use trying to work out where we can find the general?
Okay.
I mean,
I've been sitting here thinking, but I'm just going round
So
and round in circles.
if we ponder, what was it your god said to you?
She's been keeping out of the public eye, and is like a very small needle in a very large haystack.
Huh.
That would suggest somewhere where she could hide. I believe that in the presence of other bugbears was ruled out due to it being a needle in a needle stack.
Yes.
So maybe somewhere wooded or high in the mountains, perhaps.
or I mean,
So
Or an island somewhere.
would I? There's not really a huge amount of data there, is there? Can I have a quick ponder? I'll get an orb if you must, but
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be an orb, but you're going to need to stroke something.
indeed.
You've got a bit of a beard there. Just give that.
Unfortunately,
Are
Mazdak does
you
not.
asking for an intelligence check to see if anything?
If you will allow it, of course.
Go for it.
Oh no, that was bad. So I rolled a 7, and I've got a +3, so it's 10. So
And it's slightly better than mine, and I'm thick.
Yeah,
yeah, dice rolls, man.
that's the way it goes. Yeah, you
So
sit
much.
there and have a think, and I think you're just being distracted by everything. There's
Yeah,
lots of
This is kind of a little side note at the moment. My main focus is on this rift problem.
Taking into account what Lucrezia said, that the title that she's heard is Assassin. So I suppose we've got to figure out what the haystack is rather than, where would an assassin be a needle in a very large haystack?
Well, to me, it would indicate a large city.
There's got to be a large population centre.
Yes,
You would
that
have
would be
thought.
my thought. But I mean, every city is a large population centre.
But it's got to be somewhere where a bugbear would not be
Out of place.
out of place.
I mean, this is even saying that she's still in the form of a bugbear. I mean, if she's really as powerful as we've been told, perhaps she can alter her form, which is why she's a needle in a very large haystack.
Which makes it even harder.
Of course, but I mean, we'll give it some thought and ponder this a bit further, and perhaps we can turn up some further clues. Because I mean, you were given one clue to begin with. Perhaps you've got to uncover further clues and
Follow the threads of the needle.
Anyway, I think I'm going to get some rest. So I will. Are we taking watches? I mean, it's Camtasia. We shouldn't need to. It's fairly safe city.
I thought about that, and Carl just reached behind his neck and pull out the magical gimbal stand, and puts it sort of in the centre of the house in the entry, and then takes the crossbar off his back and puts it on, and then touches. It would be essentially a modified alarm spell that he would use with the stand.
Okay. Is that an artificer thing?
No, it was just
Or
it was just a thing. I mean, I've been working on something, and I mean, I'm hoping it'll work. I doubt it, but work well enough in the shop. I'll keep working on it.
Yeah, if you want to come up with
Yeah.
interesting ideas for that sort of thing, we can work on it.
Yeah. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll put. Do we have a front door and a back door, or just front door?
There's both. It's just one corridor, front to the back, with rooms off the
How
top.
long is the corridor?
Ooh.
I'm asking because my alarm spell does a 20-foot square.
I mean, Mazdaki, if you could do the front of the house, I could do
Of course.
the back.
Sure. I will, as ritual, just get out my silver thread and put it round the door frame.
Yeah.
It's a bit bigger than 20 feet.
Okay. All right, I'll just do the front door then, and allow Kral to do the rear.
Okay.
So it takes me about 10 minutes, and I do that as my ritual spell before I wander into the study and bed down for the evening.
Fair enough. There's a bit of a couchy type thing on there, so you can just curl up on that if you want.
Sure, will do.
The other three, you're gonna head upstairs. There's 3 bedrooms.
Go and find an empty room and sleep there, one with a big enough bed.
Until you can properly furnish this yourself, you may find the beds a little small for your liking, Galen. But It'll do for now.
I've slept worse places.
Yeah. Okay, so the 4-5 of you, then you're still there, just a bit quiet as normal. Get some sleep, and the night passes and morning comes.
Yay, long rest time. Woo! Spell slots.
I didn't say that. Yes, you can all take a long rest.
Spell slots.
Yeah.
Okay. Just having a quick look to see what spells I get to need this morning.
I'll put together a basic breakfast for people.
Okay.
Nothing fancy, just like porridge or oatmeal or,
Yeah, easily done. Picked up enough supplies yesterday. Anyone else doing anything particular?
Oh, I'm still trying to puzzle out what a needle looks like in a haystack.
Talon, if you
Yeah.
struggle on that anymore, you might end up ruining your breeches.
Ruining my breeches. How does thinking ruin my breeches? Sorry, you're confusing me more now.
You seem to be straining quite a bit.
Only my brain.
Hmm.
I'm not used to thinking about things like this.
Maybe if you don't think on it for a while, the answer will come to you.
Maybe like divine inspiration. Hint, hint, dear.
No, you were facing the wrong way. From my perspective, I'm the other side to you.
Yep. So,
So there's, you do your things in the morning. There's a knock at the door. Lucrezia's there.
good morning.
Good morning. You guys ready?
Morning.
You guys ready for the meeting?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, big event. We don't normally get all the masters together, but obviously there's a lot going on.
Indeed.
So, well, if you're all ready, just follow me.
Okay.
And she
Hold on.
winds you back through the streets up towards the sort of major council building, up some stairs and whatnot. Wait, no, this is a magical place. There are no stairs. It's floaty magical platforms or something.
Awesome.
And you,
Is just out of interest, as we're going along, is there anybody following us?
have a look, make a perception check.
That'll go well. Oh, that was really good. That was so good. 4. I rolled a 2. I've got a +2. Oh!
I mean, at times you think you've lost members of your own party,
Yeah.
let alone
Ooh.
seeing it.
Turn around and they've all just shot off. Ah!
It's because he's got his nose in his book.
Just look for the big shell. You'll be fine.
So, well, you get into the council building, showed up. There's a nice comfy waiting room ahead of a very ornate door where the council meets. And Krezia opens the door and shows you in. Inside the room are 7 people sat around a large oval table.
Okay, I'm assuming I know all of these people. Or
You
know
would
of-
probably recognize, you would probably recognize at least their images. You have in the very center of the 7 is Stanyard, the dwarf that you've already met.
Yep.
Once, maybe twice. No, it's definitely twice. To his left are 2 elves. and a tiefling. And then on the other side, a gnome, a human, and a fire genasi. There are not many genasi around these parts, but
Based on what my business was when I originally lived in
Yeah.
Camtasia, would I know of or have had dealings with anyone or a number of these people?
you would not have spoken to any of these people directly. You would have spoken to people like Lucrezia,
Right.
who act on behalf of.
Okay. But I
But-
wouldn't know of most of them.
You would probably know their names. They're celebrities around these parts.
Sorry, can I just double check? You said the dwarf was Stanyard, and then there was a gnome, human, fire genasi, and what were the other ones?
Uh, two elves
And a tiefling.
and a tiefling.
So, does Stanyard appear to be really Stanyard? Is he? Can I kind of? Don't really want to cast any spells in this room. I might get annihilated. Okay, I will. Can I sort of insight check, or can I do a fiddy check and just see if on my previous two encounters with this man, does it seem any different? Remembering the two encounters last time, I'll wait till he speaks actually before I do that,
Okay.
because I want to hear his voice. I don't want to.
Well, do the check now,
Okay.
rather than me starting some
Oh,
speaking and then
what am I doing? Insight, yeah.
insight. Yeah.
Ooh, 1721.
Okay. Very nice. Okay, so you take a good long look at Stanyard as he sat there on his raised chair, because he's short.
Uh-huh.
He's sort of leaning forward. He's stroking his long beard, bit hunched. When you compare that to the two previous times you've met this figure, the first time in Lucrezia's office, he had a similar sort of hunch, and the second time, upon reflection, he was standing a little straighter.
Right. Okay.
You would assume
Yeah.
that this is the same as the first person
First
that
time.
you met.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So, good morning. I'm glad you guys have managed to come along. It's good to meet you again, and new face as well. Please take a seat, and we'll begin introductions.
I will sort of bow a little and have a seat. Super magical heroes.
My colleagues here. I will drop the accent while I give you actual names, so you can
Okay.
write things down if you want. Points at the two elves and says Eluin. That's Elluin.
Yep.
And Severil. Severil.
Yep.
And the tiefling on the end is Igtharune. Igthorune.
Guess that's a red dragonborn.
That's a tiefling.
Oh, tiefling. Okay, red tiefling then.
Redskin tiefling, yeah. And then on his right, he points at the gnome, Menegilda, Menegilda. then Lillian, who's a human. And that is also the name you've been given for Lucrezia's mother.
Yep.
And finally, the Phi Genasi on the end is Classion. Classeon.
EON.
EON.
Yeah.
Classion.
Okay, cool. Cool. And as he introduces each of these, I would just sort of respectful bow to each one of them.
They'll kind of give some sort of acknowledgement of each of you as names are given, and presumably you give names back as well.
Yeah.
Right, well, we're just waiting for one more to join us. And as he says that, there's another knock at the door, and in walks Seti.
Oh,
Okay.
Sort of wanders in, very large frames. Oh, it's very good to see you all again.
Hi,
So
Seti.
soon.
I'll give Seti the kind of like, what's up?
I'll just, hi, Seti.
Would you like it?
No,
Oh, no.
too cool for that.
Why
Literally just
not?
a
There you go.
Kroll will very formally bow to Seti. Because he basically, he lived there for 6 years. He's very respectful of this dragon. And he's very aware of just how destructive that he could be if he wanted to be.
I'm
He's a
just
very
absolutely shocked that he's in the same room as all these mages.
He's very, very old, very, very powerful dragon.
well.
what's up.
Try to do the same. What's up? So Stanyard continues. Well, it's great that we're all here, and so you guys have been investigating these rifts. What? I mean, is there anything new you can tell us? Anything you've particularly found?
Well, and I will expound on the theory that we had, or that Mazdak and Kral developed, that the centres of power, and yet the first rift there was no centre of power, no magical beings. And
It's
so,
an anomaly.
do you have any information that we haven't been able to access yet about this first rift? Because, as you can see, the anomaly is go into great detail about what we think and why.
So he says, right, Several, you requested to take a look at that when it first happened. And he says, oh, yes, I dispatched immediately to Velia, and I took a very thorough look, and I didn't find anything.
Nothing at all. How very odd.
There were many bodies, and no.
So no residual magics or.
Well, there were, of course, magics in the area, but I didn't find anything of particular interest.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Lord Several. So, without wishing to seem presumptuous,
Pertinent.
we were thinking perhaps we should go there and do a full investigation in our own way, which would, of course, be very different from yours, Lord Several.
No, young man. There's no need to retread those steps. You won't find anything.
With respect, Lord, I believe that as these people have been investigating several rifts and have considerable experience by this time, that perhaps us retreading the ground may raise other questions.
Are you questioning my abilities?
Of course not, but even the best of us miss things at some time.
Well, leave it well alone then.
Why don't you want us to go there?
Because I've already been.
But you seem unusually defensive.
Seem unusually aggressive.
If you think that's aggression, you haven't been out in this world very much, sir.
If I may, so first of all, we were thinking perhaps we should go there because we all have different skills, and together we form an effective team to investigate things that a high level mage as yourself may not even think because it's so far beneath them. Little things like, turning over the ground and digging down perhaps, and all those sort of mundane, trivial things that would be far too of lesser import for yourself to do. That was
We also have a witness to the event who might be able to pinpoint more accurately where this took place.
He begins to say, well, I don't think, and Stanyard cuts across and says, no, Sev, would you just let them go and take a look? And he kind of shrinks a bit. I don't think that they're not going to find anything.
I was going to ask, that's why I was doing that. Does he seem unusually nervous about the prospect of us going to investigate what he supposedly investigated?
Would you like to make an insight check?
I would. Not that I'm very good at it, but I'll try anyway. Oh no, that's an actual one.
Oh dear.
At this point, Kroll's been around a lot of intelligent people, and one thing he learned from his mentor was that everybody can be wrong. So for somebody to be this defensive, but also similarly be this intellectual, he finds very odd. Very, very odd, and it's off-putting for him.
So, that's what we thought, and looking at the map, and I'll bring the map out, and so you can see, look, at the pattern here. So, I suspect that we need to go there, because this is the anomaly. This is the one we believe may have started everything.
All right. I agree, as he sort of looks down the table a bit. I think it would be a good idea if you went and take a look. Hopefully there's something to find there 6 months later.
Well, we shall try and look.
We also have with us, obviously, a very great dragon that is Seti. This is obviously very momentous. We have not had a dragon in the city for quite some time. Not under such pleasant circumstances, at least. Now, you recently took a trip to Draconoria where you met Seti, and you discovered something that you thought was worth looking into, and that has led to him being here. Could you just enlighten us all?
Well, as you would remember, Lord Stanyard, we were tasked by yourself to go to Draconoria and to research rifts and speak to Seti. we accepted that task, and we were about to leave, and then someone looking very much like you asked us to kill. God, I forgot his bloody name.
Lamentoranax.
Yes, that name, I tell it every time. Lamentoranax. And we decided that was a very bad idea, and we suspect that this may have been the same fellow that was impersonating... it's only problem with
Ignatius.
Oh god, that researcher, whoever
Yeah,
that was.
Ignatius.
Yeah.
Ignatius.
There you go.
Ignacio.
Ignacio, yeah.
Ignacio. Some sort of shape-shifting person that impersonated Ignacio that was then impersonating you, Lord Standard, and we decided to talk to Lermy and advise him of what he had asked us to do, and the way that he had asked us to do it led us to believe it wasn't you, because it was in a corridor, there was nobody else around to confirm or deny, and it was very fishy indeed. So this, hence, is we spoke to Lermy. He asked Seti for advice, and leading to the presence of Seti here today, we also found out that Lermy is having problems talking or receiving messages from his god. Oh, God, I'm
Leosol.
sorry.
Leosol.
I'm so woefully undernoted. Interpreting the messages from Leosol, and therefore not being able to use the foresight that Leosol would normally give him. We have spoken, or rather Dalen has spoken to his god to find out if it was just Leosol. It does appear to be a Leosol-centric problem, because we believe that Leosol could indeed give rather large clues as to what is going on with the rifts. This all, as you can see, this all ties together back to these rifts, and we also think that Lamentoranax. Oh, thank you, Martin.
I'm going to just do more of it.
Thanks. Also said that on the edge of his visions, when he's trying to interpret these visions from Leosol, he often sees... And now my mind is blanking on those names again.
Jakoto.
Jakoto, the general of the god of death. And indeed, we think we should be seeking Jakoto out. We have been informed in two different ways of doing this. I myself have received a message to ask me to find Jakoto, or talk to Jakoto anyway. And of course, Dalen has been speaking to his god, and he has advised that we should be looking for a small needle in a large haystack, which is a rather strange clue, which we haven't quite worked out yet. So any information or clues would be gratefully accepted.
That's quite a lot.
Ah, yes. Sorry, I did try and keep it sort of precise and compact, but
Right.
unfortunately what tends to happen is I get a little carried away, and I am quite nervous because there are lots of magical...
It's okay, just calm
To
down.
be fair, for Mazdak, that was quite short.
Right. Firstly, well done on not killing Lermy. That would have been quite terrible.
Yes, well, but we thought it might, start a war, so we decided not to do it. And plus, Lermy's really nice.
I know. But this does lead us with a bit of a problem. If there is some individual or several individuals that are trying to create more problems between Canticia and Dracanoria, then we all need to be very aware.
Well,
Yeah.
One of the theories we were formulating was that the war between the dragons and the wizards could cause such an explosion of power that could accelerate this person's plan, whoever's doing this with these rifts. That this, with them being based on sources of power and concentrations of magic, a war between wizards and dragons would be a expenditure and concentration of magic like nothing this world has seen.
Quite, yeah. I see it tying together there. We are, by we, I mean the council and I and SETI are going to have a conversation into making sure that we keep the peace. Thankfully, having such a recognized power and such a reasonable figure in SETI will help to keep this peace. Now, you're also going to investigate Jakoto.
Yes.
Now, that's a name I vaguely heard of, but I'm looking down the table. I believe Ichthrun is familiar with such things. If you wouldn't mind. And the red-skinned tiefling sort of sits up a bit. Says, "Oh well, yeah, I have done a little bit of reading into Jakoto before. Just a bit of a hobby, really. But quite a strange figure. What do you guys know already?"
I'll just look directly at Dalen.
She is general of my god, Bastro.
Yeah.
I have never met her. I do not know her. I just know of her.
I do not think there are many that have met her and, are with us still. Known to be very aggressive to people that intrude on her territory. So if you do go looking for her and you're unlucky enough to find her, just be very careful about that. Now, as far as I can tell, she actually had a personal relationship of sorts with Bastro himself. And the nature of that relationship we do not know. There are only two people that could tell you the nature of that relationship. One of them you're looking for, and one of them's a god.
So my notes, I've just put Jakoto loves Vastro. I shall draw little hearts around it. So, sorry, carry on.
The oldest reference that we have to Jakoto, so long as we can tell, is in the oldest books that we have in our library.
Bastro did say she was thousands of years old.
In which case, she may well outdate our library.
Yes. And she may well be near immortal if she has lived that long.
I think she probably might be. When you're the best friends with a god of death,
it would be a small thing for him to stave off that death.
Exactly.
So, any thoughts on this whole needle haystack thing?
The message you received was about a very small needle in a large haystack.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was trying not to be found or didn't want to be disturbed. And he said the best way he could describe it is she is a very small needle in a very large haystack.
Well, if she is a needle and is very small, maybe she's hiding amongst very big things. But I do not know where she is. I'm not sure that anyone does.
I'll just look at Dalen because he's very big. Would I know? Is there a country or place where giants are known?
Or Goliaths.
Or Goliaths, giants, Goliaths.
Giant Goliaths.
Giant Goliaths. Through the sort of center strip of this continent, you've got Fuera Razia, which is home to the orcs, and the further west you go on that country, the creatures get larger. You get to giant Goliaths, and then the further you go into Bervia, you begin to see colonies of giants.
Okay. So, perhaps we should be looking Bervia, maybe? Well, I'll
I mean,
look
it would
again
be
at Dalen.
Maybe.
Well, that's where lots of big beings live. Perhaps.
I mean, if
that's
you're
a
going to
good
take
place.
it quite literally, I mean, Mazdak's onto something there.
So, we now have a choice. To Valaya or Bervia? But that is something that we need to decide. We didn't ought to bother the council about this.
If you'll excuse the pun, I think that the investigation in Valar is time sensitive.
Yes, indeed. Yes, quite. Valaya, I think, would be the more pressing. But, as I say, the council doesn't need to listen to us bicker about where to go first.
Right, well, I thank you for your time, and thank you for coming here and explaining everything that you've found.
Perhaps since this is a mission for the council, they could help direct us in the quickest way to get to these places.
Well, of course, you are free to use the portal room, the portal station. That will take you straight to Valaya, if that's where you're going, or to Bervia. Wherever you need to go, we can send you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lord Stanyard and Lords and Ladies, and I'll sort of stand up and do a deep bow. Thank you very much for your time. We will, of course, report back our findings as soon as we find them.
Thank you.
I'm going to give a long, hard look at, was it Severil?
Yeah.
And then just sort of raise one eyebrow. Not say a word, just sort of stare for a slightly more than is comfortable, and then just turn around and walk out.
No, I'm just going to sort of start shoving her.
Yeah, I'm not budging.
No, I know.
He will stare back to you, and then kind of as you leave, just go.
Mazdak's like trying to push Sasha out. Which, of course, Mazdak's not got no chance of moving Sasha. So,
Sasha, just make a perception check on your way out.
Oh, yeah, that's great. 7.
Oh, okay. You don't hear
rolling
anything.
brilliantly today.
You
Would
are.
Would I have caught any of it with my passive of 19?
You probably heard the word barbarian.
I mean, fair.
Kral will just snigger.
Rude.
That is more the insult than the naming of her class.
Yeah. So, as soon as we're out of the door, I should. Well, that went really very well. We could have nearly died. Thank you, Sasha. We should.
I mean,
we should probably get our gear together so that we can go to Valaya.
with respect, Mazdak, the Master Severil, for an intellectual, he is incredibly arrogant and defensive about his investigation.
Um,
Everybody can get things wrong.
well,
He's an arrogant arsehole.
I'll just sort of look back at the door, make sure that it isn't opening with a fireball.
No, it's
so,
not.
So,
Lucrezia is currently sat in the waiting room outside, though.
I mean, everybody can be wrong.
yeah, no, I agree. Everybody has the ability to be wrong, but it's
Get your nose out of his ass and actually consider the fact that you are an investigator.
Hang on a moment.
Yeah, I
That's
knew there
the
was a reason I
incorrect
liked you, Brawl.
stance. That's the incorrect stance. I was about to say that everybody has the capability to be wrong, as you say, but insulting one of the Mage Council in the Mage Council chambers is a very quick way to get yourself turned into a pile of ash or worse. Was all I was going to say. I think I was being diplomatic, not having my nose up somebody's arse. These may look the same to the uneducated, but they're not.
And there we go with the insults again.
I wasn't talking to you.
I mean, if you want to consider me uneducated, Mazdak, that is entirely your prerogative, but...
You jumped to the conclusion that I had my nose up somebody's arse. This is an incorrect.
I mean, you were
assumption.
fawning over the Mage Council.
Yes, they are my heroes. You don't have heroes?
I have several.
Good.
A couple of them are dead.
Well, and you don't get flustered when next to your heroes at all. In the same room as your heroes, you would not be flustered. Well, that's fantastic. I'm very pleased for you. I, on the other hand, got very flustered. I'm sorry. I am an imperfect person.
It's very understandable, Mazdak.
Thank you, Dalen.
Now, instead of bickering like little children, should we get on and do something?
Yes, let's go to the portal room. Sorry, Lucrezia. Sorry. We were going to go to, I believe, Valaya.
Oh, okay.
And I'll just sort of look around for Bernia, and presuming she's still with us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything you need to do in the city first, or?
I think we ought to check for supplies and stuff. That's something we do, right, Sasha?
I bought a few days' worth of food for the house. I can prepare something before we leave to take with us.
Okay.
Or for lunch before we go.
Okay. Do we need any other things?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, we won't be able to pick up anything magical there. So if there's anything you need in that...
I don't think so. And I'll sort of start rummaging through my pouches and book bags. No, I think I have everything.
Just as long as I've got a sleeping bag and some way of starting a fire, I should be fine.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Oh, by the way, Sasha, who's the arrogant arsehole?
I imagine you know who.
Well, I just don't know which one. If you come out of that room thinking there's only one, then you're quite lucky.
Well, in this case, it was several.
Oh God, he's the worst.
That's just a little twitch in his eye, and looks round at the door again.
Seems to have a little bit of a fragile ego. If you question any of his research technique or his investigation, then he gets very defensive.
Either that or he's trying to hide something.
That was the other question.
That may be. There have been rumours he's been doing research into things a little
untoward,
unsettling to most.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get you to Valaya and.
Weird question for the DM. Because the council seem to be mostly an eclectic bunch of races, it seems odd to me that there are 2 elves. Is there any particular? Is it like people chosen for specific reasons, or is it just magical contributions? Or
Um,
I'm just wondering because there doesn't seem to be sort of presence of Asimar or orcs or other races.
Generally speaking, they try to keep the 7 council members as 7 different races in order to try to avoid any favoritism one way or the other. There have been occasions, Mazdak could probably fill you in on all of this. The history of the council, I'm sure he's very familiar with. There have been occasions over history where there have been 2 dwarves or 2 whatever. It just depends on who's the best, who's sort of way to be the best candidate at the rate. It's not unusual for there be, there is a voting system from the sort of lesser, the not council members, but the people like the Kretzia and the 100 of them that there are working for the council. And yeah, people get put in. It's not completely unusual for there to be that. Is the short answer.
Okay. I was just curious because it just seemed odd that there was like one of these, 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 2 of these. Right, preparations to be made then before we go.
I thought we just
No.
agreed that we didn't need to do any preparation.
Just gonna
Just grab
do
some
some
supplies.
food, do some lunch
Okay.
and
All right,
stuff.
cool.
Okay.
Make sure
well,
the house is nice and secure before we go because we don't want to come back to it ransacked or anything.
So what we'll do then, because we were going to stop in 15 minutes anyway,
Yep.
we'll stop there for a couple of reasons. One, to allow Bernier some roleplay before actually going
Yeah.
somewhere important like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And that gives us a decent stopping point. So
Fantastic.
a short one, and mostly just you guys arguing.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, you've been in campaigns with us before, right?
I've been that arguer before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. Mazdak meeting his magical heroes. Bless.
You've been the source of the arguments as well, Martin.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Don't you have different beliefs to me? No.
set them on fire. That's what a wizard would do, or a sorcerer. Yeah. So, thank you very much for everybody playing. It was really good fun. Thank you, Martin, for DMing. That's really good. And that map, yay! Love a map, me. Yes, thank you very much for watching. We will be back here, of course, on Tuesday for Halloran Rising, episode 52, I believe. Should be interesting. There's a library involved in that one as well. Common theme.
Libraries.
Yes, indeed. Slightly different library, I think. But yeah, there you go. We will be here, obviously, at 7:30 on Tuesday for that. We will also, of course, be back again on Sunday, next Sunday, at the same time, 7:30. Proper, full-length episode next week. So enjoy your week. Have a run for the rest of your Sunday. And we will see you all again very soon. Bye.
Bye.